Terry here, Flip2Freedom.com. Happy Friday. What is up? Hope you're having a great morning so far, and you guys are rocking and rolling. Yesterday was crazy. Got a bunch of deals going. Crazy. So I want to talk about a particular deal that we got coming in that we did. Actually, two deals. We down payment arbitrage. One was in foreclosure. Another one is a luxury deal that we're working on right now. So, all right. So, okay. So, first deal goes to foreclosure. Coming up here in the next couple weeks, right? Goes to foreclosure in a couple weeks. And seller wanted $45,000, right? Seller wanted $45,000 on this deal. And the guy owed $174, has a $13,000 reinstatement, and he wanted $45,000. Property is worth about, all fixed up, about $280, as is about $230, right? $232. So what do you do on the deal? So yesterday, right, my sales guys went out there, not yesterday, but the day before. I went out there Wednesday, thought the deal was too skinny, passed on the deal. I sat down with them, and what we did went through the whole deal. And what we did, I basically said, hey, why don't we give the guy some cash and keep the loan in place? You know, it doesn't have to be 45. Let's see how much we can get him. Keep the loan in place. It'd be a potentially great deal for somebody. So here's the interesting caveat, which makes it a great deal, is the mortgage payment on his existing $174,000 loan, right? He's at a low rate. It's like $816 a month, $816. Rents in this particular area, the location's phenomenal. It's all around these high schools. It's a great little rental, family neighborhood rental. It's a larger property. So this house rents upwards to like almost $1,800, $1,900 that you can rent this particular house for. And the house is in actually really, really good condition. So the house is in great condition. So what do you do with this deal? So here's the scenario again. It's in foreclosure, goes to foreclosure in a couple weeks. And I'm going to tell you how we structure it and how we got it under contract, and then what we're going to flip it for. So we got the deal. The seller owes $174, $13,000 in back payments. Seller wanted $40,000 to $45,000. Wants $40,000 to $45,000. House is worth about $280, as is about $230. Like I said, it's fairly good condition. And the caveat is the mortgage $816 a month, but there's rents upwards to $1,800, right? So there's close to $800, $900, almost $1,000 cash flow on that particular deal. So here's the thing, though. We talked to the seller yesterday, and basically he needs his mortgage payment paid Monday. He needs $3,000 cash by next week, and he wanted obviously $45,000. So after we give him the $3,000 and we pay them more, he wants obviously an additional monies later after we close the transaction. So how would you guys structure that deal, right? What would you do to structure that deal? Because it's essentially, at those numbers, it's skinny. It's a skinny wholesale deal. It doesn't work for a cash transaction, right? Cash transaction, it doesn't work. But it does work when you can actually leave a loan in place, $174,000 loan in place at, a ridiculously low interest rate. I think the interest rate on that is, I think it's like 3.8% or something crazy like that. So the deal does work with those specific numbers. Okay, so that's what makes this deal exciting. That's why most people would have passed on this type of deal. They would have passed on it and they wouldn't have done anything with it. I looked at it and I was like, wait a minute, there's some definitely money there, and there's money there because of what he needs, right? So we called, I was in my office yesterday, called the seller, got the seller on the phone, talked to him personally, got through the numbers, got the information from the seller, figured out exactly what he wanted, the situation was, and I got him on the phone yesterday from $45,000. He had $45,000 cash down to $30,000 cash, right? And I found out about the mortgage payment that needed to be paid on Monday. I found out why he needed $3,000 cash so he could move ASAP. And we found out yesterday that he only had $70 to his name. So I'm going to tell you what we did and how we got the deal signed. He was dealing with about 4 other investors that were calling him, hounding him, knocking on his door, all this type of stuff, right? So this guy was being hounded by investors, and because it was such in a really, really great high demand area. So here's the thing, and I love doing deals like this because you can be so creative on how you structure the deal, and how you can get it to work. So what we're doing, listen to this. This is essentially a down payment arbitrage deal, but with a caveat on finding the problem with the seller, finding that problem. You know, we're in a people business, right? If you're finding out, you know, hey, listen, what's it gonna take to get the deal done today? That's what I said. I'm on the phone with a guy yesterday. Got my sales guys in the room. We got the paperwork out. We got all the numbers up. I say, listen, what's it going to take to get this deal done today? And the guy's like, listen, if I don't make the mortgage payment on Monday, they could take the house to foreclosure and could be done, and it could go quickly, and I need $3,000 next week so I can move and get out of here and start moving. I can, I don't need the other cash right away, but when the whole thing finally closes, I can get the rest of the cash. So, and he said he has $70. He's like, I got $70 to my name, and I don't have any way to get any money. So I was like, listen. Right. So then we talked to our sales guy, and this is how we structured this deal and how it's going to be literally gold when we put it out to the marketplace and sell it, which will be, early next week. So here's the deal. He had a 174 loan in place, right? He has a reinstatement of $13,000. His loan is phenomenal. We're going to keep his loan in place. I think we did it for 7 years. 7 years his loan's going to be in place for 7 years. So that's how we swear. 7 years we kept the loan in place, right? So we kept the $174,000 loan in place for 7 years, right? And here's our offer to him, and here's how we got it signed. $174,000 loan in place for 7 years, right? We're going to give you $25,000 cash, right? $25,000 net to seller, right? Upon close of escrow. Okay. Now, $25,000. We got him from $45,000 down to $25,000. Let me talk about how this works right here. So $25,000 cash to the seller, right? This is in our addendum that we have. $25,000 cash to the seller. Buyer agrees to pay seller $3,000 on or before Friday. Remember, I asked, the seller said, what's it going to take to get the deal done today, right? And so he needed $3,000 so he could move by next week. So I said, what's going to take it? He goes, listen, if you can give me $3,000 next week, if I can just get that $3,000, I can move. So what we're going to do is we said buyer to pay seller $3,000 on or before next Friday. We're going to give him $3,000, subject to him signing all the closing docs. So we're going to have him sign all the closing docs, but we're not essentially going to close the transaction yet, right? We're not going to close it yet. So we're giving him $3,000. He's signing all the docs. So why am I doing that? Why am I telling him, having him sign all the docs, right? We're doing that because I'm going to have a title report. I'm going to have him sign all the docs. So then he can't back out of the deal. He can't change the deal. We actually are getting the title, and I'm actually giving him cash. So we're not essentially recording it yet because we haven't wholesaled or flipped it yet. We might have a buyer next week and probably close the whole entire thing next week. Maybe, who knows? But right now we're having it set so where we can have him sign all the docs, and we'll get him $3,000 for doing that so he could move on. Next week he wants to move up to Portland, so we need him to sign all the docs, the deed, everything. We want him to sign absolutely everything on this deal. He signs everything. It's essentially, I own it, right? Or we have it owned, subject to the actual recording of the transaction, okay? Because we're going to be doing a double escrow. Okay, so now that's said, right? So we're going to give him $25,000 at the final close. We tell him within 30 days. We'll give you $3,000 next week when you sign all the closing docs, right? So now we're in it for 28, right? So now we got $28,000, and we said, listen, we will pay your mortgage payment on April 1st. Right, which is Monday. We're gonna pay your mortgage payment so the thing just doesn't go to. I think he has like some sort of deal with like he did some foreclosure thing that if he doesn't make a payment, they can automatically take it to sale within days. So we're paying his mortgage payment on the 1st, right? Paying his mortgage payment on the 1st. We're getting him $3,000 by Friday, assuming subject to him signing all the closing docs. So now we're gonna have. Get it signed and done. So now what has to happen is we're going to have to pull the payoff and the reinstatement for the loan, because we're going to leave the loan in place for 7 years, and we're going to reinstate that loan. So he has $13,000 in back payments, $13,000 in back payments. And then we've got essentially cash needed in the transaction is the $25,000, $3,000 to him, and then the $816 to the mortgage that we're paying on Monday. Okay, so here's the deal. What happens? Here's how we get them assigned, and this is how this is interesting, right? 41K in, right? So we're $41,000 in on the deal, and this is how we get them assigned. Pretty much get every way. He disclosed that he had only $70 to his name, $70 to his name. So we put in the contract, buyer to pay seller $200 cash at time of signing this contract. Signing the contract. Now, have you ever done that before? Have you seen anybody that's done that before? So I went to the bank, got the ATM, got $200 cash in 50s, and I gave it to sales guy Rich. He went to the house, went through the contract, right? And he's like, no. When he got to the point, I said, listen, we're going to pay you $200 cash a signing right now, right? The guy took out the pen and he signed it right there. Because remember, we got $25,000. $25K, we went from 45 down to $25K. So now we're in it for roughly $41,000, $41,000. We can turn around and sell this for probably anywhere from, I think we can sell it from, $49,000, or not 49, we're in it for 41, $59,000, $59,000. I think we make like anywhere from 15 to probably maybe 20 grand on the deal. Maybe not 20, for probably 15 to 17 grand I think we can make on this deal. On a flip, or be it actually just a potentially great hold. So when you figure out cash on cash, there's actually, just Google cash on cash return calculator. And you can Google that, and inside there you can see, you can put in the loan at 174. You can put in the down payment, for someone. Let's say they put, say $59,000 as a down payment on the deal. 175 loan, and you put the, put the interest rate. I think the interest rate's like 3.8%, right? 3.8%. And you get the payments. When you do that, what's going to happen is you're going to see it's going to calculate out the actual cash on cash return from the down payment versus the loan amount versus the potential cash flow in the deal, because you can put in there potential cash flow, and the potential cash flow in the deal is roughly minimum $8,000 upwards to $12,000 a year, depending on what it can rent for. So even on the minimum, we're talking a 15+% cash on cash return. You get upwards to the higher end. You're talking about even a higher, you're talking 15, 16, 17, 18% cash on cash return, which is cool. So the bottom line is the bottom line is that you took a deal where you got all these investors that are hovering around this particular property, wanting this property because of the location, because of the schools around it, because of the rental market neighborhood. You got this guy that wanted 45 grand, and you're able to find out how to solve their problem. You bait the hook to suit the fish, right? You bait the hook to suit the fish. So the fish, what did they want, right? What did they want? What was the bait the fish wanted? He wanted the mortgage payment paid. The guy had no cash. He had $70 to his name. He had he wanted $3,000 next week to move, right? And then the balance he wanted to get paid. That deal for an investor, even putting a significant down. See, if you have a significant down payment, then you have to justify it with equity, which is going to have equity in it, right? Number two, it's going to have equity. It's going to have significant cash flow, and you want to have a longer term. So what we did on that deal is because it was a higher down, we had to extend the term, right, to 7 years, and we had to make sure that the property cash flow and it's in a good area. That's all. That's key when you had this. So this was a no deal 2 days ago. 2 days ago, this lead came in. Sales guys went out there, couldn't make a deal, couldn't get, because the guy wanted too much cash, didn't sign it, walked away. Everything but the $200 actual cash that we gave him, which I'm willing to risk on that particular deal, is that everything else goes through title. So we're going to give the title company $3,000. He's going to sign all the documents, get everything, and they're going to give him a check for $3,000, right? So you guys are awesome. Go out there and crush it. God bless. Have a phenomenal day, and talk to you soon.